You know what? I think everybody today knows why we're here. But in case you don't, today is Shit Talking Sundays. Fitness tip of the week. That's right. We got another episode of the fitness tip of the week with the one, the only, the beast from Team Fitness Major. Before we get started, I need to make sure that everybody is sharing this because we want to get people healthy. And, if you're trying to get healthy, it makes it easier if you got friends that are also trying to stay healthy. So if you do things together, it makes it work better. So, with that being said, let me bring in the man with the plan. It's somebody you can't call Stan with my corny jokes. It's the Beast. What's going down?
Hey, brother, how you doing?
Hey man, feeling a little funny today, but hey, every day is a good shit talking Sunday.
Hey, sometimes we gotta laugh through the pain, man. You know what it is.
Oh yeah, without a doubt, without a doubt.
Laughter is
So
good for the soul.
what you got good for us this week, man?
Yeah. So again, appreciate the link as always. Thank you for everyone that has checked in and is tuned in to this fitness tip of the week. And like you said, man, subscribe, like, share, comment. You know, get this word out and get this information in for yourself first and foremost. But if you know somebody or if you know a couple people, anybody that can benefit, which everyone can benefit, make sure that you let them know that so they can tune in. Again, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell so that you can get notified. Because everyone has life and things going on in the world with their daily lives. So sometimes you forget. I forget about certain things. So I set reminders. So every time coming that Wednesday, it's going to ping on your phone or on your computer, your tablet, so you know what to do. You know where it is. So, like we said, fitness tip of the week. And this one was brought to me, was introduced to me by a friend, and they know somebody that can really benefit from this. So I'm hoping that they was able to connect with them and have them sign, and they logged in. But if they don't, unfortunately, hopefully they'll be able to check out the replay or the archive. But we're going to talk about chronic diseases. And there's a lot of people are suffering from different things, different elements and diseases. So, and some things you can control and prevent. Some things, they may not be preventable, but they can be managed or reduced. So today is a real numbers heavy day. I don't get into a lot of the numbers and breakdown statistics, but I feel with something like this because, to be honest with you, I've had family members that passed of chronic diseases, things that can be preventable, and I've seen other people. I've known other people that have passed and or have got really ill. Things that you can't prevent. And to be honest with you, for myself, again, because this is a passion and a lifestyle for me, the passion part of me really, it really irks me or it frustrates me. It used to get me really upset because especially if there's someone that you care about. But I've come as I've grown along the years. I mean, I'm not happy with it. I'm not accepting of it either. But I just, it's you got to understand, and I've come to understand that it's not everybody's not there, and or everyone doesn't really want it right now. They're not at that level or to that point. They haven't reached their haha moment to where they're like, okay, this happened or that happened. Now this is an awakening for me. This is my come to Jesus moment or my fork in the road. Whatever analogy, however you want to put it, there's people that aren't there. And I tell people all the time, I tell clients and stuff, I mean, I can't want it for you more than you want it for yourself. And so people that have spouses, that have relatives, that have friends, um, that want, they might see the person struggling or perceive them to be struggling, and you want to help them. And and they get frustrated like I used to get. So I tell them the same thing, like, they're not there yet, and you can't make them. So you can't get more upset than they are about it, and or you can't want it for them more than they want it for themselves. So until they get there, and hopefully they can get there enough time to where they can make that turnaround and start to progress and make a change for the better. Until they get there, it doesn't matter what you do. It reminds me of, and it's been out for years now, but the movie Flight with Denzel Washington. And if you haven't watched it, it's a really good movie in relation to what I just spoke about. Um, and this is a true story too. So Denzel was a flight pilot, right? And he was all messed up. I mean, he was drinking all the time. He was coked out. He was sexing women. He was wilding, like he was, you know, New Year's Eve, Mardi Gras. He was balling out whenever the flight, when they pilots and they land somewhere, they have a layover and they go to the hotel and they supposed to recover, relax. Well, Denzel at the time he's going, he's doing drugs, he's drinking, he's doing all these different things, and he's just out of control. And he had friends, he had family, he even had his employers. Man, they was covering up for him. They was making excuses for him. They was trying to coddle him. They even one of them even brought him in his house and had him stay with him, and he still couldn't get right. No man, I mean, so it finally came to the end of the movie. I don't want to tell the movie and how it all ended, but I'm just gonna leave it at that. All these things, all these people, all this support that he had, and yet and still he wasn't ready to make that change. And they say alcoholism and there's drug addiction, there's alcoholism. No, they're not chronic diseases, but they are. They render them as diseases. You're an addict. So again, and preventable. I mean, you don't have to drink, you don't have to smoke or snort or shoot or whatever it is, but you have to be in a place where you want to make that change, where you want to prevent that. And it's the same analogy when it comes to alcoholism and drugs. You, it's a day to day thing. It's not okay. I'm done. I'm good. When it comes to having a lot of the chronic diseases, um, it's a day to day operation. This fitness thing is a journey. It's not, do this for a year and you're good. There's no retirement. There's no taking the time. Okay, I reached this level. I'm done. I'm good. I can set back. No, this is every single day. This is a day to day operation. For those that are just general and fitness or don't have any elements or setbacks. So for those that have chronic diseases, and different elements, it's a day to day operation. You look at like last night's show with AG. The Warriors. They it's a day to day thing. They don't have a vacation time, or there's not a certain level you get to where you're good and you're set. There's not a retirement time where this just retires and you're done and you're good. Now you're back. Now you're good. You're just average, like an average person. No, this is an operation that takes day to day. Just like your nutrition, like your fitness, all this, it's the day to day. So I'm gonna get into it with this, and when I say it, you're gonna pay now, or you're gonna pay one way or the other. One way or the other, you're gonna pay. And either you're going to pay either by the pain and the and of and the pain and the trials and the suffering and the peaks and valleys of adaptation and growing and working out and the sacrificing of certain foods and the hunger pains and the sugar detox and things like that, things that are going to help escalate your life and build you up. They're taking the time out to do your meal prep and to eat your meals and to build and have the proper nutrients and macros. You're going to pay for it that way. Going buying groceries and eating more healthy, more selective organic foods, things of that nature. Or you're going to pay for it by having to go to the doctors regularly, more than regularly, monthly, bi-weekly, sometimes even weekly, by paying for hospital visits, paying for if you have to go to the hospital or the emergency room. Trust me, I work in the medical field, and emergency rooms are not cheap, and they are not the best place for you. And it's a struggle, and it's busy, and it's packed, and you factor in especially if you go in there and you have your immune compromised, on top of here we are still battling with COVID. So are you going to pay for it? Also, you have to go downstairs or upstairs, and you have to pay for these medications monthly. You're buying medications. You're having to take these medications. So you're paying for that one way or another out of that. And so it's really about how do you want to do it? Do you want to do it by projecting a positive, adaptation with your body and growing and building and creating a life and a lifestyle that can keep you in a better space mentally, physically? Or do you want to pay for it by suffering and going through the motions of having to go to the doctor and get medications, and maybe having nights or days where you are in pain and you're suffering, and then all those things. So it's a financial investment one way or another. So again, how do you want to do it? Do you want to pay it for it with yourself now, or do you want to pay into it later by getting the medications and all the things I suggested? So of course, with fitness tip of the week here with Vince the Beast, we always want to give you some remedies or solutions, or at least take some steps. And as always, I always say, and AG says, talk with your doctor, of course, about especially if you have a chronic disease or a health risk, or if you have a family history of health risk or chronic disease. Talk with your doctor, and get some clarification with that, and seek a fitness professional, if you are doing the exercise program, or if you're trying to get on a nutritional plan, if you have like diabetes or certain chronic diseases, or you have limitations, get with a dietitian or a nutrition, or join some type of wellness coaching program, at least, if nothing else, for a few months, so you can get a better understanding, because the knowledge that you get is going to help you to grow and build and develop into a better you and your future. So physical activity helps reduce a lot of these chronic diseases. We have different things. We're going to talk about heart disease, some cancers, type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, even dementia. So exercise helps with a lot of different things. So I'm gonna give you these numbers. Like I said, this is gonna be a show talking about a lot of numbers. And again, if you haven't yet, like, subscribe, and share. Tune in. If you have any comments or questions, please drop a comment in the box, or send me a comment, or send AG a comment, so we can try to get with you and get your questions answered. Again, teamfitnessmajor.com, that's the website. Check us out. We do have free consultations, and you can always get some good get yourself started with that, and to understand what we can do for you, and see if we can make it connect and get you on that path to success. So here's some of the numbers. So we have 1 in 2 adults, right? And even 77% of high school students. Now, I have a high school student. I have a high school child, and I have a young adult child. But 77% of them in high school, and 1 in 2 adults, don't get enough activity, and not necessarily daily, but just in general. So, like, you have like a weekly thing, like, they NFL and other places. A lot of these sports have like a play 60, active 60 minutes a day. I used to be with Network for Healthy California, Champions for Change. Same deal. It was like, for kids, 60 minutes of activity a day, which is not a lot if you think about it, especially for kids. But even as adults, like, being physically active most days of the week for at least 30, 40, 60, 50 minutes a day. That's not a lot. There's 168 hours in a week. Set aside 4 hours for yourself to get yourself on a pathway to feeling better, and to release your stress, and to looking better. And that's not a lot to ask. But yet and still, you hear the numbers. That's crazy. 1 in 2 of those. So AG and I are right here now, right? So one of us, well, we're not. We are exception to the rule. But in general, you think about that. Every other person and people in your life, who people that are active, those that are not active. This. If they're your friends, if they're your family, people that you interact with. Every other person, think about that. Every other person, every other adult doesn't get enough physical activity in the time span, in the week time span. And then the high school kids, that's crazy. Kids are definitely a passion. They definitely have a place in my heart, because they're learning. So I want to teach them and instill in them early. So you think about that: 77%, 3/4 of children don't get enough physical activity. PE is not what it used to be. Then even now, when they come home, mom, get outside, boy, go outside, play. I'll call you when dinner's ready. I'll come in when the lights go off. When the lights come on, you have dinner early. Like, okay, go outside, play, come back in when you see the street lights come on. You don't see that like you used to. And I know kids. I was a kid. We was running and flipping and riding bikes and doing. We was active. Like, we wasn't just sitting around. We wasn't on cell phones. We had the old school Motorola flip phone. All you did was call, or we had the beepers. So, but even with that being said, we was active, and it wasn't just going outside and looking at people's phones, or just sitting around and talking, or going to the mall and just sitting around, eating and stuff like that. So 21% of children between 12 and 19 are obese. Now, don't get me wrong. I do have a thing. I don't base that off of the BMI chart, because the BMI chart is vastly inaccurate, in my opinion. Because I don't qualify for being healthy. If we go off of that, just the BMI, I'm obese, clinically obese. So, the numbers can be a little skewed, but when it comes to that, but let's say it's half of that. No, let's say it's half of that number. I remember, I don't know if you remember AG, but there was always, like in high school or even in junior high and stuff like that, you have one fat kid in class. Just one. It was like, okay, this is the fat kid, and he's fat. Hey, it's facts. Shit Talking Sundays. We're just keeping it real. Yep. But that was it. You maybe had two.
And I wasn't one of them. I wasn't fat.
One of them either.
I've never been fat.
I know some. I remember some.
Mean. Actually, I've always been morbidly skinny, borderline anorexic, until I got with Vince the Beef, with Team Fitness Major did I not start gaining weight. So I'm telling you, it works. I was 115, 120 pounds when I graduated high school. Now about 165, somewhere in that neighborhood. So I will tell you, you do have the control. You really do. You have the control.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
We have a
And
question.
oh yeah, we're gonna get to that. I see the question. I mean, so just be patient. This is like I said, this is a numbers heavy show, so there's a lot of numbers that are coming in. So I'm really trying to hit this. I really want to hit this home because this is, like I said, this is so important because, like I said, this is something that gets in my skin when I know people are suffering from things that they can't control, and
Mhm.
that's the frustrate. That's what for me that frustrates me, especially it now this day and age. You can't really use the excuse, "Well, I don't know," because there's too much out there. Even there's more. Even there's more than enough. There's even false stuff. There's so much stuff that people can get and learn nowadays. There's so many programs, there's so many apps, there's so many things you
Mhm.
can Google. There's no excuse for you to not know how to manage things these in this day and age. So technology in that point has been amazing for that. So like I was saying, obese. Okay, so 2 in 5 kids have chronic diseases, and some of the ones that I mentioned, the type 2 diabetes, not high blood pressure, heart disease, obesity. Um, these are again. I don't. When we was kids, and a lot of things contribute to it now. The food, the processed foods, and things like that. But there was no such thing as childhood obesity, or there was no. I didn't know any kids that I know of that were diabetic. Um, I might know some that might have asthma, but that was pretty much it. Outside of that, you may have known. I known a couple kids when I was younger that may have had seizures, but I mean, but outside of that, like some of these other things, like no, I didn't know anything about that. That we didn't know anything that even existed, and I don't think it's just because we were children. I think because it was not a thing that was relevant or something that was out there. So so with that being said, one in three deaths come from like heart disease. Heart disease is they say the silent killer. That's a huge one. That's a gigantic um, disease that a lot of people again it's silent. People don't talk about it for whatever reasons, for a lot of reasons. But that's a big number. You think about 1 in 3 people. That's no that's scary. And or they have strokes or other cardiovascular diseases. And most of this is attributed to lack of physical activity. Cardiovascular, that's the heart muscle. Well, how do you exercise? How do you build the heart muscle up? Exercise, aerobic or anaerobic, whichever way you want to go. A lot of strokes can come because people aren't they're not getting proper circulation, and stress, which exercise can attribute to reducing. 74% of adults are either overweight or obese. Again, 3/4. I mean that's a huge number, and I've been saying this for ever since I really became a trainer and started really paying attention to that because you see it. I mean, you see people like again we talked about the fat kid in class, right? What the hell was a muffin top? We didn't have muffin top kids in school, or even I didn't even really know see adults like that. So it's just a different. There's like people that are slender build all over. Then they have like this muffin top. It's like wait, what? And again, a lot of this contribute to the lack of activities and lack of activities and a bad processed diet. So I mean that's a huge number. 3/4 of people in America are overweight or obese. Again, the numbers again, if I don't know if these studies were based off of BMI. I'm sure they had a role in it. I always tell people you do the waist to hip ratio. If what you're measuring, that's a better accurate one. If you just want to do the basing, if you want to do full body measurements, that's good too. But even if you just do the two waist and hip, measure those. There's a thing called waist to hip ratio. If you Google that, it will walk you through. It's simple. Takes 5 minutes to do. It's very simple to get a calculation. And the reason why that is, I really believe into that one because with women, most of their fat is carried into their hips for like ovary protection, childbirthing, and all of that. Men, most of their fat is carried in their waistline. So you measure those 2 points, and it'll tell you what the average number should be when you do the calculations. And then you put your calculations in and see where you are on the scale. And again, that's super quick. It's super easy. You can just do it and be done as far as getting that assessment done. So look at that and kind of gauge that on when you know where you are in your scale. Because again, like there's so many different ways that people do measurements or calculations. But those two, that one is the one that is the easiest, cost effective, and you don't have to do nothing, or you don't have to go nowhere, or all you need is a measuring tape and have a calculator. Super easy. So, also 96 million adults pre-diabetic. So obviously pre-diabetic is you are not full-blown diabetic, but you're on the watch list. Like, okay, you need to start now being preventive and being proactive with like mainly like your nutrition. Watching out, watching for your sugar levels, and not eating a lot of processed foods, a lot of sugary foods, a lot of carbs, starches, because
Mhm.
carbs break down into glucose, break down into sugar.
You know what's so crazy about that is that the misconception that diabetes is for fat people. That is false, false,
No,
false.
right?
Because um, yeah, it it definitely um, I was pre-diabetic and it scared me enough to get into the gym. Once I got into the gym, then I knew that things were going to be okay, especially after I retested and found out that you can beat pre-diabetes. And I
Yeah,
would even try to go out on a limb and say you probably could beat diabetes too if you really took it serious and went hard, because I went hard on my workouts and everything because I was really scared. I had a cousin that had diabetes and I watched him start losing limbs, and
yeah,
I wasn't trying to go down that path. So, you know,
yeah. Diabetes is no joke. I mean, it leads to a lot of other things come off of being diabetic, like losing your limb, like you're talking about, strokes, heart attacks. A lot of these things, uh, diabetes is a huge catalyst because it compromises your immune system and your body's ability to function and to regulate so much. So, like, of course, there's type one. Type one is the genetic one. That's one where you can just get it from your parents. So you can manage that, but obviously it may not be preventable but type two is what we're talking about. Like you would have, like you was on the scale when you become pre-diabetic, and then you can become diabetic. Most of the time, that's the type two diabetes. Again, the preventable one. And of course, those that are women that are pregnant or have been pregnant before, you can get like a just I can't say the name right now. I forget. I can't even say the name right now. I'm having tongue tied. But you can get basically diabetes based through your pregnancy, which is typically most of the times when you become diabetic during pregnancy, you can.
gestational diabetes.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I was
I
tongue
thought I
tied
said it
on it.
right.
It wouldn't come out right. I didn't want to keep butchering it and keep stuttering. Appreciation. So you typically it goes away once once you give birth. But even those women, um, I don't remember the percentile. I think it's about half. Just I don't know the exact. Can't say the exact numbers. Those that have had that do get it during pregnancy have I think half, let's say half percentage, or I can't remember the percentage of becoming diabetic in the future. So if you do that, you just know that there could be you need to still keep a monitor on that, and obviously talk with your doctor about that, and make sure that the nurse, your midwives, and your doctors will also hip you to that if you fall in that category. Um, so think about these numbers. So 327, right, billion B dollars in just diagnosed diabetes. So you think about what's his name that flew to the moon like 18 times now? Amazon guy. How much is he worth? And that's a nice chunk of change. Give me 1% of that, I'll be happy. I'll be skipping and clicking my heels every day. And then 237 million, I'm sorry, 237 billion with a B again in direct medical costs for, again, a disease that in a lot of cases can't be preventable or even managed. So again, if you are diabetic, or if you do become diabetic, you can reduce it. I've had clients that have reduced that have were insulin dependent. They was able to fall back into just taking a pill. And I've even had some that couple that were taking the pill and they was able to weed off of it altogether. I mean, they still can be, but they monitored their diet really well. They kept their activity. They kept physical fit and fitness. So those people, um, you can, like you said, reduce it or minimize it. But working out and having a proper diet is key catalyst to that. So and so 90 billion in lost work days, $9 billion, and that's people that like we either work days off, reduced reduced productivity, or just So that's crazy too. If you think about people's sick days, and especially nowadays, you know, jobs are so stretched out with short staffing as it is, and then you have people that people are still going to get sick. Don't be wrong, but if you're getting sick on things that you have control over, you're not just hurting yourself, but you're hurting your company. And a lot of companies are having to go out of business because they can't afford different things like insurance costs and to just pay the insurance, pay their workers. And then you got the other workers that are still there working while you're sick, having to do more work, which you're already overextended in the first place. So then now you're raising stress levels. It just creates a whole chain effect. Now I'm not saying no, not everyone cares about their coworkers or their team or enjoys what they do and where they work, but I'm just want to set some examples out to people about the consequences and repercussions of just not taking care of yourself on preventable things. I mean, you may not be able to prevent an accident, or you may not be able to prevent, a fall or what other people do, but things that are internal to you that you have control over, you can fix, you can manage. Another thing that is important, Alzheimer's. People don't think about that, um, but it's escalating. It's growing. Alzheimer's, people, more and more people are getting Alzheimer's now. A lot of them are most people that develop Alzheimer's are 65 and older, and but it's 6.2 billion 65 and older. With Alzheimer's, and how you can prevent this again is a lot of exercise, like you said about the gentleman at the gym. Like, he keeps moving. You keep the body moving, you keep the body alive, it continues to function, it continues to circulate all the things that you need to for your body to. It keeps your mind sharp, it keeps your keeps your brain functioning. The moment you stop learning is when you die. That's what I had a 86-year-old client, and she told me that, and she was going to American River College studying, being to study English, becoming an English major. I'm like, I mean, she doesn't work or anything, but she's learning. She's keeping her brain sharp. And of course she was working with me, so she was staying. She was being active. I mean, for me, that's the benchmark to be over 65, whatever age, age you want to put out, the number you want to put out there, but to be self-sufficient, to be able to be cognitive, to be aware, to be able to do things myself without any crutches or aids or any type of medications to assist me. There's no guarantee that again, the things that life happens, things that can happen, but I'm trying to set myself up to be there. I'm taking the steps to be there because obviously, Alzheimer's really affects the brain, and you have people, and people become forgetful. Um, they start having new mental confusion. They start, they're confused about even who they are or where they are. I mean, it's a serious thing, and for families of those people, that can be very stressful and very sad and frustrating for those people as well. Um, Arthritis, joint pain. Um, and again, I'm not going to get too in depth on all of these on because it's, I wanted to hit on a lot of the major ones that are out there, and a lot of things that major things people are suffering with. So arthritis, joint pain. I mean, and 27 million people. So basically, 1 in 4 have general diabetes. I mean, arthritis. And then you think about the 1 in 4 that do have that. Another 25% of them say they have severe joint pain. Now, I mean, I don't have really joint pain myself, thankfully. I'm still a little younger, but even then, it doesn't. You can still get it younger, but of course, it does something that affects into you being older. But that's why I talk about preventive maintenance, especially when it comes to exercising. That's why I wear like sleeves when I work out to keep the joints warm, um, because you don't want to put a lot of you don't want to overstress your joints and your ligaments and your tendons because that can cause arthritis. Even those that that work on computers or on desktops are always typing, uh, and you develop carpal tunnel. Well, that can build up and lead to arthritis, or even just your fingers because you're constantly using your hands and your fingers. So that's why it's important to take times and stretch them out, stretch your hands, your fingers, do different things to try to uh, keep the circulation and to keep them from overwork, over being some muscles in your arms and your wrists to be overactive and some to be underactive. And of course, like I said, the compression sleeves. Um, because again, I mean, I've had, just think if you've had a knee injury, like a tennis elbow injury, or you've sprained a wrist, or you've hurt a shoulder working out, or just in general. Think about that pain. So when you think about that, and that's basically like a form of arthritis. So think about having that on a day to day, or every other day, or every 3 days, or once a week, whatever it is. Everyone's levels is different. Think about having that on a regular basis, though. That doesn't sound very good. That doesn't sound very comfortable. I don't want to feel that. I don't want anybody that's listening to feel that. Again, I mean, it can be prevented or even managed, even if you have it now. Like I said, being active, doing different things to keep the body moving, to keep the body circulating, will help to reduce those. Um, 1 in 10 of the people that with arthritis say it limits their activity. So again, it's just like with um, a lot of these, a lot of muscular, skeletal, or in this case, joint pain. You have to, like we talked about with the MS, you have to manage it There's days that you're gonna be feeling good and you can go, but again, you don't want to even on the days you feel good, don't try to over push yourself too much, because if you're working with one of these issues, because you don't want to overdo yourself and the next day be suffering. And sometimes I'm feeling good, I'm feeling strong, and then they overtrain, and then they're suffering for 2 days straight after. So it's really just about, when you can do it, do it. Keep moving, keep working, stay active, stay stretch. Make sure you're stretching. Um, you know, I got a question about 10 or 15 minutes of stretching. Stretching is important at anybody's level. Doesn't matter where you are. Everyone should at least stretch. Try to get in another 10, 15 minutes if you can. If you can do longer, go for it. Take a yoga class, whatever, Pilates. But that's going to help, especially with like the muscular skeletal, the joint, and and the muscle muscle skeletal system, basically your bones and your joints. And arthritis costs run about 303 billion annually. I mean, that's a lot of money. Again, just give me 1%. I take 1% of that. And we talked about overweight and obesity. Overweight and obesity, it contributes to a lot of these diseases. A lot of these start with being overweight and obese, not by the BMI term, but how you feel, how your body feels in the morning and throughout the day on a day-to-day basis. If you feel heavy, if you feel sluggish, if you're lethargic, and that's a regular thing, and that you can see that if you're like, you put on some weight, and if it's muscle or if it's not, the difference. So if you know these things, then I mean, you don't have to do a statistic or look at a scientific fact to know if you're overweight or obese. How your body feels on a regular basis. If you feel those things, then either one, most of the time, you're overweight and you're not active enough. Period.
Hmm.
So, um, and that contributes to a lot of different cancers. So we talk about bladder cancer, breast cancer, colon cancer, uterus cancer, kidneys, lungs, even stomach cancers. All those I just mentioned, physical activity can assist in reducing the risk of that.
Mm-hmm.
Again, cancers, you can get cancers and be fit, but it's not about. Listen, all these things are not preventable, but they can be, the chances of getting it can be reduced, and even like the chances of recovery are getting stronger, can be enhanced if you are already being physically active and you're taking care of your nutritional. So
You know, quick fact. I say this all the time. There was an older gentleman that I worked out with at the gym in his 90s. And I asked him straight up, what's the fountain of youth? Because if you made it to 90, you definitely are doing something right. And his response was basic: drink plenty of water. I drink a lot of water every day, and don't stop moving. He said, all my friends who retired to the recliner are all dead. Keep your body moving just like anything. If you use it, you keep it. If you don't use it, you lose it. You lose muscle when you don't use it. So all that is true. But you know, you'll be surprised how much the fountain of youth is just plain H2O. It cures so many things. Now, remember, I'm not a medical doctor. This is just what I heard in my researches that I found. But water is definitely good for you because it makes up most of our body. So,
yeah, and like I said before in the show, it helps break down fat, It helps circulation, which a lot of these things, a lot of the problem with a lot of these pains and these aches and these chronic diseases is you're not getting enough blood flow. Strokes, heart attacks, it's a lot of it because of things are clogged. Things are not flowing. Constipation. A lot of all these things that are not you're not if you're not flowing, your body wants to start shutting down. It wants to stop doing what the things that you are normally would do. Again, even as little things as taking a shit on Sunday, taking a shit, taking a piss, whatever, it can reduce, it can stop all of that. You think about, if you don't drink water, like, people are not, they're not, you don't use the bathroom enough, you don't really sweat. Fluid helps you to sweat. And what do you do when you sweat? You can detoxify yourself. Clean out your pores, or clean out your system through your pores. So yeah, water is an absolute staple, and that should always be in your day to day life, more than just like, everyone. And there's different scales. I say if you drink 64 ounces, you're good a day. If you just drink that, if you want to do half your body weight or however you want to do it, fine. But 64 ounces in most health surveys and most graphs, they say if you drink 64 ounces a day, that would be sufficient. And just water. I don't mean, oh well, I drink tea that has water in it. I drink coffee that has water in it. Juice, there's some water in juice. No, water, H2O, pure and simple. Now, if you want to put like a electrolyte, powder in there, if you want to do the natural electrolytes, you want to put some lemon in there, or some orange slices, or some fruit, or some the parsley, things like that. Fine, it's a little bit of salt, but drinking water as close to its purest form, 64 ounces at least. I mean, all the other stuff, the water soluble fruits that you eat, that's just help. That's extra, but you don't want to calculate that into your water equation, because you can't say, oh well, 10 grapes is equals about 4 ounces of water. I mean, you don't know that. An apple has the equivalent of this much water. Watermelon must at least have 8 ounces, per slice. I mean, just focus on the water itself, and all the other stuff is just extra hydration for you. So, I mentioned this as I've got kids, when I was talking about earlier, but like seizures, people don't think about those, and you don't. I don't know anybody personally that has seizures myself now. But I do know that it is a big deal in epilepsy and seizure disorders, and that can be a very scary thing. If you ever seen anybody have a seizure, that can be it can be an experience. You won't forget that, especially if they had a real heavy seizure, a severe seizure. You don't forget those things as a kid, as an adult, whatever. Because especially if you don't know, like if you're a kid and you don't know what that is, it's very heavy. It can be very experience. And that's a brain condition, and epilepsy is a brain condition which can cause, like I said, seizures. So about 3 million adults, about 500,000 kids are diagnosed with epilepsy. So there's kids and there's adults. Obviously, it's higher in adults, and a lot of that again is contributed to, um, activity and lack thereof. It can be managed. Of course, there's seizure medication, but there are exercises and things you can do, activities that you can do to help that as well. So, say about there's medications for it. 56% of adults take medications for seizures. With 32% of the disease they are 32% of them are not able to um, uh, to function properly. because seizures can lead to other brain. Because again, this is about the brain. It can lead to other things with your brain. It can lead to you not being able to work or to function on a regular basis, especially if you have a severe one or if you have a couple severe ones. So again, preventing those or managing, doing, being more active, doing the things that help to reduce the risk of that or reduce the risk of a severe one is going to help you both immediate and in the long term when it comes to um, being able to have a proper brain action and function and firing. One of the last ones is lupus, and you know, I know one person. She's diagnosed with lupus. I can't remember when Lupus Awareness Month is, but they do have a whole month, and they rock one of my favorite colors, purple. So, but and I was with my friend one time when they had a lupus episode, and I was like, I didn't know anything about it, time. So I was like, what's going on? And I ended up taking him to the hospital because I did, and then they knew obviously because they know they have it, but again, that's another thing that's like you're just in a lot of pain, and what that basically is your autoimmune system. It's an autoimmune system disease, and basically the easy phrase of it is that your immune system is basically attacking your healthy body cells, like your healthy cells, because it thinks that your healthy cells are like invaders or enemies of your body, so they attack them. So um, you think about like a dog, that biting, attacking their owner, just or attacking somebody that they know randomly. Um, your body just starts going after, just turns on itself, and starts attacking itself, and it can be very painful. It can cause inflammation. Organs can be affected, even start to shut down. So it's a real thing too, and it's not, people don't speak about it as much. Most people that I know that speak about lupus are people that either have it or know somebody that are they're close to that has it. But lupus is really really big, and it's mostly a women deal. Like 90% of lupus cases are women. So you think about that. Men can get it too. Obviously, there's the percentile of that, but for this particular one, this is a highly effective. Um, it's real high in Latinos and African Americans. For whatever reason. Obviously, I'm not a doctor. I know the studies, but 1.5 to 3 times more likely in Latinos and Latinas and blacks. Um, and it can cause kidney disease. So again, we talked about the kidneys, cancers, but like kidney disease is another one. Your kidneys stop functioning. I mean, obviously, you can definitely die from that. Um, if you had any type of stomach pain, like severe pain before in your life, just think about your kidneys. I mean, so anybody that has any type of kidney disease or kidney pain, or if you ever had like to pass a stone, it's a very painful ordeal. Anything related to any of their internal organs. So, again, these are all the ones I mentioned. Everything I mentioned can be prevented and or managed by physical activity. So, to answer a couple questions, like should you is it better to work with a trainer if you have a chronic disease? It's better to work with a trainer regardless of who you are. You should never. You should always seek, if you're not knowledgeable, if it's not something that you're strong at and understand, as whether chronic disease or not, you need to start with a professional. Just like if you know how to drive a car, but if you're not mechanically inclined, you go to a mechanic. If you're not sure what medicines to take when you get sick, you go to the doctor. I mean, it's not a rocket science affair here. is really, if golden rule, if it's something that you're not very familiar with or knowledgeable in, and there are people that are, if it's something you need or something you have to do or want, go seek them. You're not, if you're not good with numbers and good with math, you're not going to do your own taxes, or you're not going to have a friend that may know three different timetables more than you and have them do your taxes. You're going to go to a professional. So always go to a professional. But as far as if you have chronic disease, I mean, it is good, but you need to search and make sure you get the right one, someone who has knowledge about whatever elements or restrictions you may have, and or is willing to learn and understand how to work with somebody with your condition. So you should always seek some type of professional guidance. But yes, in the sense, I guess you could say it is, um, when it comes to a lot of these diseases, it can be literally life or death. So maybe yes, definitely speak with somebody who has a little more of knowledge or a little more awareness about your specific disease and or condition. Let's see if there's any more questions. Would I train somebody? I mean, I would train anybody. Again, that's why I went to school. I went and got my associate's degree, and I'm contemplating about my bachelor's. But even with that, I continued education and learning, and got my certifications to specifically work with everybody. I was telling somebody their son wants to become a trainer, and I always tell anybody that wants to be in the health field, um, to go get an education about it. I mean, even if you work out and you work out well, people approach you, because they used to approach me all the time in the gym, and they even had companies that wanted to hire me. I was a truck driver. I wasn't a trainer at all. But because they watched me work out and they seen the thing, they're like, oh, if you ever thought about becoming a trainer, I'm like, no, not really. I mean, I thought about it briefly, but not to the extent. But when I did decide to change a career and become a trainer, I knew I didn't want to just get a book, and they got advertisements for certain, um, uh, I guess you call them companies that have different, um, they have different certifications, and you get the book and or a DVD, and they may even have coaching now. I don't know. They may even have like people that call you and do consultations, or they do Zoom meetings, um, things like that. And it's like 2, 3 months, 4 months. But I'm gonna tell you, that doesn't prepare you. Again, it all depends on what you want to do. It doesn't prepare you to work with any and everybody. Um, I said I got an associate's degree, so, um, now I'm thinking about going back to my bachelor. But I went to school for extensive amount of time, and it was a hands-on school. Like we went to the gym daily and practiced, and we did not just the text, but we also did fundamentals, and we were kinesthetic learning and everything. So we learned in both of those capacities. And even with that, even with me working out for the all the years, even before I went to school for training, even with the books and the magazines that I've read and all of that, and the time in school, there's still some things that you're just not going to be prepared for. But if you want to go and learn as much as you can before you take on that step, before you start working with live individuals, because least case scenario, you train people and they don't get results because you don't know how to train them right, and they don't get results, and maybe you get a bad Yelp review, or you don't get referrals, you don't get resigns. Worst case scenario, obviously you can injure somebody, severely injure somebody, especially if they have like a prior injury histories, or immune compromised, or you can even lead to them, going to the hospital and beyond. So And nobody wants that on their. I don't think anybody wants that on their conscience. So definitely learn how to work with everybody, and that's what I wanted to do. So yes, I can definitely work with anybody. Doesn't matter. I mean, I've even, and again, years. I was years in the game, and I had a client that had like three different things that I've never even heard of, chronic diseases. I'm like, wait, what? Okay, I never heard of them, but I took the time and I went and studied them and read on them and found out what they were and how you can develop these, and most importantly, again, trying to be a solutions based expert. I want to learn how to treat them and to help them to, again, to achieve success in their health and fitness journey. So that's fine, but you want to be able to learn. You need to get the knowledge to help people. So I can help anybody. So anybody that is serious about wanting to transform their life and become a better, overall better in their health and wellness journey, definitely, like I said, hit us up. You see the phone number 916-410-1950. The website teamfitnessmajor.com, where we do the free consultations. Email at fitnessmajor@gmail. Um, Drop us a line, or even call the show. Call the show live. We like to hear your voice. I don't like hearing my voice all the time. So, um, ask a question. And again, if I can't answer it, I will do the homework and I will get back to you on that. But the main thing is you have to want to do it, and you, again, change begins with you, as you see on the screen. Change begins with you. You have to want it for you more than I want it for you.
Which is really, really true. Mindset, mindset, mindset in anything and everything you do. You ain't have the proper mindset, you definitely ain't gonna make it happen. You see, for me, I was feeling a case of the lazies. So I got something to keep me a little active. I know you see the rug rat running around behind me every now and then. I got a dog to walk. And I chose the wrong one because the one I chose was a Belgian Malinois. And apparently, these are the crackheads of the dog world, and they have
Prankster
one
gangsters.
speed. It's go, full throttle, all day, nonstop. And let me tell you, but if you want a really loyal dog, this is the one. This dog is extremely loyal, extremely intelligent, but extremely active. So, um,
Yeah,
but
so if you
yeah,
want to step your game up, that's what you get. That's the dog you
hey,
want.
I'm down with any challenge. But for all y'all out there, call this number. Call it. Don't be afraid to ask him any of these questions. Uh, for your quick, 10-minute workout, stretch workout. I would probably try yoga. Everybody I talk to says yoga is really, really good for you. It helps with stretching and core building. So, five, 10, 15 minutes of that every day would I'm pretty sure you will see a difference. But remember, intensity is important too. You can't just do it half-assedly and think you're going to get results. You need to get the heartbeat raised a little
The
bit.
great thing about yoga is it's structured, so you can follow the plan. Like
Right.
you don't need to, there's no guesswork. You don't need to guess on what you need to do, and it, they hit everything, and they even hit stuff that you don't think about. Like I said, you hit your, they say in the yoga world, you're cleaning out your junk area. So I talked about it earlier when I talked about the measurements: waist, hips, your midsection, all that's your junk area. That's where a lot of your tightness is. Think about people, most of your tightness, lower back, your butt, your hip
Mhm.
flexors, your torso, your spine, all the that little area. That's the junk area. That's what they say to clean. That's what our yogis will say: cleaning out the junk or clearing out your junk area, because those are the areas where, right now, we're sitting down. We're not standing up. Our muscles are tight. Our hip flexors are tight. Um, Sometimes I slump over, so lower back gets a little pressure. So again, this is never. It's not a. Yoga is really good because it focuses on those things, not just your glorified muscles that you think about. Oh, it's not just about one or two things. So yeah, and they have 10, 15 minute, 20-minute yoga workouts on YouTube and all over. You buy DVDs, whatever you want to do. So I definitely recommend. I always recommend stretching because, especially as we get older, like we talked about in last week's show. Um, the older you get, the the more slower you can become naturally, and the more more stiffness your body can create, and the more joint pain. And like I talked about the arthritis and different things like that, um, fibromyalgia and things like that, you can develop. Um, Stretching and creating that circulation, which yoga does, can help reduce and or minimize that.
Right on, right on. Uh, anything else you want to add? Are you talked out?
I mean, I pretty much covered the bases on that. And if there's, like, so if anybody has any other chronic disease or immune compromised disease or anything like that that we didn't hit on in this show, feel free to drop a line. Like I said, you got the information. I mean, I don't need to keep telling you. You guys have the information. Again, what are you doing with it? You
Um,
balling up and throwing it in the trash? Are you one in
mhm.
one ear at the other? Whatever it is, and we're gonna keep telling you it. Yes, we are. But at this point in time, you have the knowledge, you have the resources to reach out to. So if there is anyone that I didn't hit on that you may be dealing with personally, or know somebody that's in your close circle that's dealing with personally, um, again, drop a line. You know, if I don't know about the topic or about that particular one, I will do my homework and we will address it.
Sure. Right, right.
That's what we want.
Um, my opinion is just my opinion on any chronic disease workouts and stuff like that. I'm going to say, do it, fight. Um, anything that's that's good for you is worth fighting for, and if you love life, fight for it. So if there's a chronic disease that's trying to kill you, fight back. You know, I'm not saying do it alone. Talk to your doctor, help him, let him help you put a some type of plan together that will work for you. But yeah, don't stop, fight. All right.
Yeah,
Uh,
there's not a chronic disease, or there's not any of these topics I touched that is immediate death sentence. So
right.
as
Nothing.
long as you are willing to work and keep fighting, like you just stated, as long as you're willing to do the work, you have get back. But you
Yeah.
have to want to do the work again, like we talked about. So
Right. Well,
if you're one of those people, if you're on the fence about this, hopefully this gets you on the side of being active and stepping up.
well, hey man, thanks for giving us all these, fitness tips of the week. We always need them. So I want to say thanks, and I can't wait to talk to you next weekend.
Yeah, buddy, looking forward to it.
All right, guys. Stay blessed, everybody. Shit Talking Sundays, fitness tip of the week. Peace.